And I'd like to welcome you all to our travel edition of the Lunch Club. And this week we're having a special presentation on Nigeria. Again, we've been traveling through the continent of Africa for June. And again, today we have a special guest on, Miss Margaret, who will be presenting some information about Nigeria. So, Margaret, I know you're having some video challenges, but thank you so much for coming on to our session today. If you could introduce yourself and kind of how you came to Wild Tech, because we'll be hearing more from you later on this year as well. And you can then share your presentation. So again, if you can introduce yourself, your history with Wild Tech and how you came to be here, and then you can share your presentation. But thanks so much for coming on, and we look forward to learning more about Nigeria.
All right, thank you so much, Alex. Okay, my name is Margaret Wona. I'm from Nigeria, the southern part of Nigeria, which we're going to learn more about. I am a pharmacist and I'm a fellow from the Mandela Washington Fellow for 2024. The Mandela Washington Fellowship is an offshoot of the Young African Leaders Initiative, which is a program sponsored by the US Department of State, where every year over 700 African leaders are brought into the United States across 28 institutions to study leadership in civic engagement, leadership in business, or leadership in public policy. I'm studying leadership in civic engagement at the University of Maryland, Baltimore County. So I'm currently at UMBC, and this is the first time I'll be visiting the United States. Also, part of the fellowship program has what we call the Professional Development Experience, PDE, which is a program that matches fellows to some organizations where they can get real hands-on practical skills in a US organization. So I was lucky enough to be attached to White Tech. This is one experience I'm super excited about. So in the month of August, after my leadership training at UMBC, I'll be coming to White Tech to volunteer for a period of 4 months, 4 weeks rather. So during this time, I'll be working closely with Alex and we'll be seeing more of me. So that's basically it. So I'll go on now to share my screen.
Yep. Thank you. And then you can hit the arrow next to slideshow, and then you can hit start from beginning.
I'm having. Okay, we are here now. Please
Yep.
let me know if you can see my screen.
Yeah, you're good to go, Margaret. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you. So I'll be taking us all on a virtual tour around Nigeria. And as you can see, this is our flag right here, the green, white, green. And this bridge here is in Abuja, the capital city of Nigeria. Okay, in this brief presentation, I'll be walking us through the introduction, the history of Nigeria, Nigerian cuisines, some of our culture, some interesting facts about Nigeria. Then we are going to conclude and I will step back and take your questions. Okay, so Nigeria is the most populated country in Africa, right? So Africa is a continent with over 54 countries, and Nigeria is in the western part of Africa. So yeah, this is the map of Africa, and this is Nigeria highlighted here. So to the north, we are bordered by Niger. To the east, we have the Chad Republic. To the south is Cameroon, and to the west is Benin. We are famously referred to as the giants of Africa, and this is because we are the most populous or the most populated country on the continent with over 223 million people, which is why it's as if Nigerians are almost everywhere. Globally, we are the sixth most populated country, and yeah, we are a very large set of diverse people. So majorly, we have three ethnic groups. We have the Hausa, the Yoruba, and the Igbo. And these are just the major ethnic groups. Moving on, like I mentioned, Nigeria is a very diverse country with over 36 states, excluding the Federal Capital Territory. Please let me know if I'm too fast or if I need to increase my pace. Hi, Alex.
No, you're doing great. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you. So as a country, we have over 250 ethnic groups. We are so diverse. Now, one would think that since we have 250 ethnic groups, we should have 250 native languages at least, but no. Nigeria has over 525 native languages. It's so crazy that in my state, I'm from Cross River State, there is a tribe called Obudu. And in that tribe, the male folks and the female folks speak different languages. So we are so diverse in Nigeria, but we found a way to appreciate and make and explore our diversity in becoming a resilient set of people. So Nigeria has 6 geopolitical zones. This helps us categorize or ensure that no zone is neglected or no ethnic minority is neglected. So we divided ourselves into 6 different geopolitical zones. We have the North Central, the Northeast, the Northwest, the South-South, the Southeast, and the Southwest. This ensures that resources can be shared across the various ethnic groups equally, and there is equity and equality in the distribution of resources. The official lingua franca of Nigeria is English, so we are an English-speaking country. However, we have our own famous version of English called Pidgin, and interestingly, this is spoken by over 600 million people. History of Nigeria. Okay, so Nigeria has a very rich and unique history. And here are some, I'm going to take us through a few of our ancient civilization before we were colonized, right? So we have the Nok culture. Now, this beautiful image here is a famous artifact that is known to the Nok people, who are currently referred to as the Kaduna State people in Nigeria, northern part of Nigeria, and they are famous for their terracotta sculptures. Now, the Nok culture is one of the earliest known societies around 500 BC, and they were very, very industrious people trading in grains, cereals, cow skin, and the rest. So this here is the famous Igbo artifact. It is common or native to the people of Inri, who are the current or present day Igbo tribe. Remember, I said that we had 3 major groups: Hausa, Igbo, and Yoruba. So Igbo are one of them, and this is where we can trace their ancient civilization too. One thing interesting about the Igbo people is that they are very free people, and folklore has it that it is a place where slaves were set free during the period of slave trade. Now, the Benin Empire. Why Benin is not part of the major ethnic group? This set of Nigerians have a very rich culture. They are the most famous kingdom in the southern parts of Nigeria, and they are so gifted and creative, making them the most developed states in the whole of the west coast of Africa, right? Now, this beautiful image here, Queen Ida, history has it that in Nigeria, in Benin Kingdom, it's usually a patriarchy kind of kingdom, such that only the males rule. However, when the Oba, the rulers of the Benin Empire are referred to as Oba. So when the king died, his wife, Queen Ida, just gave birth to a little baby. His name was Osige. And really, since he was young, it wasn't okay for him to assume the throne and rule. But Queen Ida was very brave. She organized or led her people to war, and they actually won that war, which secured the throne for her son, Oba Esige, who grew up to becoming one of the most famous and celebrated kings in Benin Empire. So in the Benin culture, most of their women are celebrated owing to the victory won by the Queen Mother then, Queen Ida. So yeah, that is why we had to bring her here to talk about how women in their little way can actually change culture, change civilization, and do great and amazing things. This is the famous bronze sculpture of the Benin people. Now, the Oyo Empire, which is taking us to the western parts of Nigeria, it represents the Yoruba tribe. Again, the Yoruba tribe are amongst the three major ethnic groups in Nigeria. Now, what is interesting about the Oyo Empire is that the very first king, known as the Oni of Ife, was Oduduwa. We can't trace the parents of Oduduwa. So folklore says that Oduduwa was from the gods or just appeared from heaven. But what I find very intriguing is the fact that we can trace the number of Onis from the days of Oduduwa to the current day Oba Adeyeye, who is the 51st Oni of Ife. So this shows that the Oyo Empire have been able to secure their tradition for over 5 decades and beyond. And this is the Hausa Kingdom. This well is very famous because here history has it that there was a snake that was inhibiting the people from drawing water from this well until their king came and killed the snake. So this well is very sacred to the people of Daura. Daura is in Katsina State in Hausa Kingdom, northern parts of Nigeria. Now, the Hausa people are the largest ethnic group in Nigeria. They are the most populous sect in Nigeria, and they are very hardworking. They are known to be traders, to be farmers, and they ensure that most of our vegetables come from the northern parts of Nigeria. So they are very, very significant people to this economic growth of the country. Now, present day Nigeria. Nigeria became an independent nation on October 1, 1960. However, 3 years post-independence, we experienced a civil war that lasted for over 7 years. Yeah, so that war ended on the 15th of January, 1970. Currently, Nigeria runs a democratic system of government. So we've been very, very peaceful after our civil war. The current president of Nigeria is His Excellency Bola Ahmed Tinubu, is from the western part of the country. Also, Nigeria is the leading oil producer in Africa. On a daily, we churn out 1.5 to 2 million barrels of oil, and our oil, the crude oil, is globally sought for because it is free of sulfur. So yeah, Nigeria is the leading oil producers in Africa, and we are home to a number of natural resources such as limestone, coal, iron, or natural gas, etc. Now, these two pictures here are the economic heartbeat of Africa. This is Lagos State, Nigeria. Lagos State, Nigeria is located in the western part of Nigeria. Nigeria is our economy is based on crude oil. That I think it caters for about 60 to 70% of our gross domestic product. However, Lagos State alone, the commercial activities that go on in Lagos State gives us about 25 to 30% of our GDP. So Lagos State, although very small by landmass, is a very, very significant place in Nigeria. This is where all the commercial activities, all the institutions, the companies, this is where they are. So if you want to come to Nigeria to start a business, your first point of call would be Lagos State. But be careful, because since it's densely populated and heavily active, there are lots, the traffic is crazy. but of course, you can find your way around it. Then this is Kaduna. Kaduna is the commercial hub for northern Nigeria. Like I earlier mentioned, the northern people are very, very hardworking, and they are farmers. So all our grains, vegetables are planted and cultivated in the northern part of the country, and then they are transported back to the east, to the west, and to the south. Now we move to our culture. One thing that I love about being Nigerian is the fact that we are not scared of taking risk. We are a very audacious people, and we are not afraid of taking places or spaces. And I think in this regards, we sort of share similarities with the United States. Nigeria is the home for Afrobeat. This guy here with this trumpet, his name is Fela Kuti. He pioneered Afrobeat in the African continent, and it has gone on to survive to present day, extending to various cultures and localities. Now, Nigeria runs the most vibrant and diverse music industry in the whole of Africa. So this is Burna Boy. Burna Boy won Grammy Awards 2 years back, and this is Tiwa Savage. She was present at the recent coronation ceremony of King Charles III. So Nigerians are almost everywhere. In movies, Nollywood is the second largest movie industry in the world. And annually, over 2,500 movies are produced in multiple languages. Like I said, we speak over 500 plus languages. So we try to produce movies in as many languages as it's possible to share our culture with the rest of the world and preserve our heritage. So here are some of our famous celebrities. This is Petu Dechi, this is Genevieve, and this is Funke of Jennifer's Diary. Our culture, because we're a diverse set of people with different cultures, we have so many festivals, so many festivals. So I can tell you for a fact that Nigeria is a land of celebration. So what I'll try to do is to highlight the most common or popular festivals across the various ethnic groups. Okay, so the first here, this picture with the beautiful ladies in white and red is the Calabar Festival. The Calabar Festival is an annual festival. I'm from Cross River State, and Calabar is our state capital. So this is my festival. It happens every year from the 1st of December to the 31st of December. It's a very, very colorful festival, and it has lots of people from across the world coming to just enjoy the richness of the southern culture of the Nigerian people. Also, we have the Ofala Festival in Anambra State, but there's this festival, the Agungun Fishing Festival in Kebbi, northern part of Nigeria. So it is the most famous fishing festival in the whole of Africa. What they do is this festival occurs in February, and it marks the end of the farming season, because in Nigeria we have just two major seasons, the raining season and the dry season. So from January, February, we have the raining season. So farmers can't really go to their farm when it's raining. So what they do here is fishing. They have a very large river where people come during the festival. You have fishermen struggling. They all enter into the river, and the person that catches the most fish is given a prize. So it's a very interesting 4-day long activity, and it signifies the start of the fishing period for the people of Kebbi State. Yeah, so these are some of our cultural attire. Here you have the Hausa culture, the Igbo culture, and the Yoruba culture. Like I said, we have lots of cultures in Nigeria, but I'm just only going to highlight the ones of the major ethnic groups. So yeah, you can see that there's beauty in our diversity. Now, cuisines. I also structured this presentation to highlight the various cuisines across the 3 major ethnic groups, and then we'll go to the other popular cuisines that is common to everybody, irrespective of where they're coming from, whether from the north, the east, the west, or the south. So when you go to northern Nigeria, say Kano, Kaduna, you would most likely see what we call tuwon chikamfa. This is made from rice balls. So this is made from rice. Then you eat it with your favorite soup and your protein. Here they are using chicken. And this mat here is the native or the local mats available in the north. So they use dried palm fronds to do lots of creative home appliances or utilities. So this mat is made from the palm fronds that has been dried and processed. This is what we call suya. It is basically beef barbecue, right? But it's sort of flavorful because of a spice known to northern Nigeria that makes it very, 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 very delicious. So if you do come to Nigeria, I think you should try our suya when you get the suya, though originated from northern Nigeria, is common everywhere because it tastes so, so good. Now to the west, you have the amala and ewedu. The beauty of this presentation is that it gets to highlight the fact that Nigeria is just not one people. We are a group of diverse people and we have found strength in our diversity. So when you go to the west, like when you go to Lagos, Ibadan, etc., you find amala and ewedu soup. It will be very difficult to see tuwo chikamfa in the west and vice versa, right? So depending on where you are, it's going to reflect or influence the kind of dish or cuisine you are exposed to. So this is efo. It's a local vegetable that is very common to Western Nigeria. And as we've noticed, our soups are usually very thick with lots of proteins. So in some African countries, they use one type of protein per soup. So if it's going to be chicken soup, you're going to see just chicken inside. But in Nigeria, we even show our diversity in our meals. So you get chicken, you get beef, you get fish in one soup. So that's one thing that is unique to the Nigerian people. Then in the east, you find the popular egusi soup and ahoha soup. This is just highlighting my previous point. So you have lots of proteins in your soup. It's not limited to just chicken or turkey. You can mix it as you'd want, depending on how much or how many of them you can afford. Yeah. So these are the other popular ones that are not common to any specific tribe, like the famous Nigerian jollof. Sorry. The famous Nigerian jollof, the Nigerian fried rice, and our afang soup. Personally, I love afang soup. If you have a taste of this, I'm not sure I'd want to eat anything else. Just kidding though. Now, some fun facts about Nigeria. Like I earlier mentioned, we're a very diverse set of people. So culturally, linguistically, we are very diverse. However, we have lots and lots of natural wonders. So this is the Zuma Rock. The Zuma Rock is found along the Kaduna-Abuja Express Road. It is about 2,300 feet high. What is most intriguing about the Zuma Rock is that there's this naturally occurring human-like face kind of carved on the rock. So that was how it was found. So it's a very interesting site for tourists, and it's also a very good place if you enjoy hiking. Now, this Zuma Rock is in the northern part of Nigeria. So down to the east, you have the Ohum Cave in Enugu. Now, this Ohum Cave is not just home to one waterfall, it's home to several interconnected waterfalls, as well as several interconnected caves. So that's what I find very intriguing when I first visited the waterfall. So there are lots of waterfalls within the Ohum Cave, and it gives you this serenity when you want to be close to nature. Moving on, we have the Obudu Holy Mountain. This is found in Cross River State. And the beautiful thing about this natural wonder is the serenity of the view. The view is so fantastic. So you have lots of roads snaking on top the mountain. It's very beautiful to see. Then we have what we call the Riyom Rock. It's famously referred to as the Three Rock State, that's Plateau State. What is intriguing about this is that it has a rock on top of a rock on top of a rock. And these pieces are so big and heavy. It could not have happened due to human, should I say human will. So it's so beautiful that nature can give us something as spectacular as having a rock upon a rock upon a rock. So it's a very, very beautiful sight to go see whenever you come to Nigeria. Notable Nigerians, like I said, Nigerians are very smart people and they are not scared of taking risk occupying space. So we have Chinua Achebe, is a famous author of Things Fall Apart. This is Wole Soyinka. Wole Soyinka won the Nobel Prize for Literature. Then we have Aliko Dangote, the wealthiest man in Africa. He's from northern Nigeria. Then Tunde Onakoya. Tunde Onakoya is currently the Guinness World record holder of the chess game. So he's the chess grandmaster and very, very, very intelligent, inspiring young Nigerian. On to our women, we have Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala, who is the director of the World Trade Organization. She's from the eastern part of Nigeria, same as Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie, who is famous for her literary works and for driving the feminism movement across Africa. She's the author of Purple Hibiscus and Americana. Okay, so in conclusions, I can answer your questions because I believe you have lots of questions for me. Nigeria is a nation with over 200 million smiles. We are a high-spirited and intelligent people. We are very hardworking and we have a can-do and positive outlook to life, which is no surprise we are referred to as the giant of Africa. So my question is, when will you be visiting Nigeria? Thank you. So I'm going to stop here to answer your questions. Hi, Alex, over to you.
Oh, thank you, Margaret. That was such a intriguing and interesting presentation. I like how you had everything set up, and I was able to recognize a few of those names, like the author of Things Fall Apart. Uh, that was one of our readings in high school over here in DC Public School. So that was I still remember reading that book, and Miss Adichie is also very famous for what you had said, but also for her being in a Beyonce song as well.
Yeah.
That particular work is quoted very much because it's very powerful as well. So thank you, especially for the history and just again how diverse the country is, and of course the food. Everything looks so delicious. So would love to try some of those dishes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for your presentation. So again, if you need to, you can go back to a certain slide if you'd like. But again, if any of us would like to answer or ask Margaret any questions, please raise your hand in Zoom, and we'd love to hear from you for the rest of the time for our lunch club. First up is Anne. How are you doing today?
I'm doing fine. I'm so glad to meet you, Margaret. I have two of your fellow countrymen working for me. They are the most delightful people, and they have given me garments of their tribes. And they've even made, one of them even made a outfit for the priest at my church for our Black history. I have also had some of your delicious food. So I'm just so in awe of actually seeing things that they have talked about. So I'm so glad and I'm looking forward to seeing whatever you will be bringing to us. And thank you for your beautiful presentation.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. I'm glad you've experienced firsthand the hospitality of Nigerians and how energetic we can be when we're in the room.
Yeah, they're very, very interesting. We have a lot of conversations, and so I'm just really they're two of my very special people.
Thank you so much, Anne, for your kind comments. And I agree. Thank you so much.
Mhm.
And you have a great rest of your day.
Thank you.
Uh-huh. Margaret, you muted yourself, by the way.
Okay, sorry about that.
It's okay. But again, thank you so much. And again, if you'd like to ask Margaret a question or say a comment, please raise your hand in Zoom. First up, or next up, I should say, is Miss Janice. Hi, Brenda. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. Thank you. Margaret, I'd like to know with all of those different languages, you said it's over 525. Can the tribes communicate with each other, or is it just for a specific tribe? I mean, that's a lot of languages. Are they able to,
Yeah.
talk with amongst each other, the different tribes?
Okay, that's a very, very, very interesting question. Thank you for asking. So, no, they cannot, because unless you consciously want to learn over 500 languages, well, good luck with that. But the official language is English. So every Nigerian is taught in English language, irrespective of where you're staying, whether you're in the north, you're in the south, you're in the west, or you're in the east. You learn basic English language. That's what we communicate with. That's what our constitution is made of, right? Then individually, if you're from Hausa, naturally you learn Hausa. If then you learn the indigenous language that is common to your locality or your ethnicity. However, because the country understands the importance of language as a tool to connect us, what the government did was to establish what we call the National Youth Service Corps. It's a structure or a system that tries to take people who school or who have lived in one part of the country to another part of the country. So for example, I schooled and I'm from the South. I schooled in the South, but I went to do my national service in the West for 1 year and it's compulsory. So this exposes me to the culture, the tribes, the language of the Western people. So some of us were sent to the east, some were sent to the north, and vice versa. That way we get to speak or know a little about the various cultures that exist in our nation. Then individually, people who might have migrated to different parts, maybe for business purposes, could learn to speak the language. For example, my dad speaks Hausa because he had lived one time in the north. And this is very beautiful because once you're able to speak the same language as the other person, it builds this connection, this community, and you just feel like although you're Nigerians, but you feel more connected than the other person who cannot speak your language. Yeah.
Okay. So English first.
Yes, English first.
Okay. Okay. All right. Thank you.
That was a really great question, Brenda. Thank you so much for asking that. I really
Thank you.
that. Thank you. Good questions so far, you all. And I love your answers, Margaret. They're very clear and we're just learning a lot. So I really appreciate you answering these questions. Next up is Miss Thompson. Hello, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good. How are you today?
Good, good. Thanks for coming on. You have a question or comment for Margaret?
Oh, I have a whole bunch of stuff. I will make it not easy. Margaret, hello.
Hello.
I have different people that takes care of me.
Okay.
And they come from Africa in different parts, and mostly Cameroon, and it's French or English. And I told them, let's communicate, because I can learn your culture and you can learn mine. And although you know the English language, and which all of them do, but they don't know the slangs and everything, and they always ask me about it. And I want to learn about Africa. So I learned from them. My brother went with a lady from Nigeria, and they made a movie from her house. It was a series, and I watched it all weekend because it was very interesting. He didn't marry her, but she was worth $7.7 million. I told him he's a dead old fool. But and she was a very, very nice lady. I had a Nigerian as a supervisor with DC government. We didn't get along. He told me that he went to school in Britain. And I said, well, my mother was a teacher. I had 24 hours of learning. We couldn't speak out of the language. She told me ain't is not in the dictionary. At that time it wasn't. I don't know if it is now. But he wanted me to change a word. And I looked it up and it was the same definition. I said, I'm not changing it. That's what I wrote. So we didn't get along too much because he wanted to bring in the Nigerian, which I didn't know. The culture and the language, and it was rough. It was really rough working with him. And that's all I have to say. But I like learning from my aides. They're very good. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you for sharing. And why, yeah, your supervisor was wrong. I believe people should be given the liberty to express themselves the way they want to, right? So I'm so sorry for that experience. Again, it goes to show that we are individuals in as much as we might come from the same tribe with individual characteristics, values, and belief system, right? So I'm also happy you have some good experiences from other Nigerians. And I'm proud of the fact that you stood your ground. And I believe that we should be aware of what we want and not allow people push us simply because they feel they can. So thank you for sharing, and I apologize for that difficult experience.
Thank you.
Thank you, Miss Brenda. Really appreciate it. Yep. Thank you again. Don't forget to lower your hand and mute yourself so we're all able to hear. Thank you so much. Next up is Yvonne. How are you doing today, Yvonne? Thanks
I'm
so much.
doing nicely. Thank you so much, Alex. And thank you, Margaret. I was looking forward to seeing your face. I think your camera is off, but my middle name is Margaret. I just wanted to see you.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I also wanted to present my face. I'm well dressed, but for some reason, my MacBook is not responding. It is not responding.
Yeah.
But
So
I'm
you
glad
had a question or comment for Margaret?
That's quite all right. My book club has read several books by Nigerian authors, and there have been some very famous ones. As Alex mentioned, many of us have read Things Fall Apart. But would you recommend a particular author at this time who's more contemporary and a novel that you would suggest that we read that conveys to us some more of the contemporary culture in Nigeria today? Could you recommend one or two authors? I'd like to share them with my book club.
Oh, okay. Well, top of my head, Chimamanda's book, Half of a Yellow Sun. It's a very popular book. I believe if you've not read it, it's something you should read. Half of a Yellow Sun by Chimamanda Adichie.
You could put them in the chat if you can do that. I'd appreciate it.
Oh, okay.
Thank you so much. And this was really an enlightening conversation. And I couldn't get over the picture of the traffic in Nigeria. It must be horrendous driving in the urban area. I guess that was the major city in Nigeria,
Yes,
which is
and
Lagos. Is it Lagos?
that's Lagos. Lagos is the
Lagos.
commercial or business hub of Nigeria. But actually, there's a trick. What happens is that housing is quite expensive in the areas where you have lots of the business institutions where people would likely get good jobs. So there's a place called Lekki in the mainland or in the highlands. So there you have business opportunities, but people just cannot afford to pay rent there. So what they do is they go to the suburb in Lagos, that's the mainland, where they can afford accommodation, and they travel all the way to Lekki. And because so many people are moving at the same time from mainland to Lekki and from Lekki to mainland in the evening, the traffic is horrendous. However, if you're able to afford accommodation in Lekki and you work in Lekki, you'll be living the good life. Because
Okay.
there'll be free flow of traffic and you not have to travel so far. Yeah.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much. This was quite very interesting. So if you could put in the chat a book that you would recommend to my book club, I'd like to share it with them. Nigeria has produced some wonderful authors, and I'd like to become more, I will Google and become more familiar with them. Thank you so much, Margaret. And thank you, Alex.
Thank you so much, Yvonne. Thank you for your question. We appreciate it. Yeah, and thank you for lowering your hand and for muting yourself. Thank you so much. Our next question is from Ms. Doris. How are you doing today?
Hi, Alex. How are you? I'm doing fine.
Good, good.
I just have a comment to Margaret. I've experienced when taking care of my mother. I had a whole lot of different homemakers, and I just wanted to comment on how hard the Nigerian ones that I had were the best ones. They took a lot of worry off of my hand while I was caring for my mother. And I know they work hard, and they're very respectful people that work with my mom. And I just want to make that comment.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you for that comment. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Doris, for sharing. We really appreciate that. Any other questions for Margaret? Anyone like to share any other questions, any other comments? But thank you so much. There were some great questions. I love the one about the languages, because I thought, hey, there's so many languages. So, that helped me understand that. And there's always just more that, meets the eye. But thank you so much, Margaret. I think I just have just a couple of general questions for you. How is your experience here so far different from Nigeria? And what is your favorite part of where you live in Nigeria? Or what is your favorite thing about Nigeria? Yeah, those two questions.
Okay. Thank you so much. They're a fantastic question. I've been in the US for roughly 9 days. I went to the Afram Festival. It was super, super interesting. Yesterday, we went to the baseball game where the Orioles played with the Rangers and we won. However, the cultural shock I've experienced here in the US is the time zone, like the weather. In Nigeria, where I'm coming from, once it's 7 p.m., 8 p.m., everywhere is dark. So it's time to sleep. But yeah, because it's the summer, you don't even know when it's 9 p.m. because everywhere is still very bright. So that's one culture shock I've noticed. Another thing is the American people are amazing. The love has been overwhelming. The food, they've been generous and very helpful. However, what I miss most is my Nigerian delicacies. But surprisingly, I've prepared 2 Nigerian meals in the last 8 days that I've been here. I've prepared a native soup. I've prepared jollof rice. I could share the pictures later, but yeah, those are I miss my local food back at home, and I love the fact that I can experience new weather, new mindsets, new ways of doing things from the American people.
Thank you, Margaret. And what is your favorite thing about Nigeria? The culture, the music, the food, the people, the language. What do you really like about
I
Nigeria?
think it's the people. We are a very resilient people. While we have issues with bad government as is everywhere, but I've realized that Nigerians find a way to provide for themselves. So that is why wherever we go, we are a very diligent set of people. We value hard work. We are very hardworking. So we know that if you don't do these things, the government won't do it for you. So you just have to take up the roles. So yeah, I love the fact that Nigerians are resilient. They don't give up easily, right? And also encourages me to put my best foot forward wherever I am and just try to make a honest living. With that spirit, I know I can do anything. Yeah. So I've put the books I recommend on the chat in the chat. If you can see it, please let me know. The first book is Half of a Yellow Sun by Chimamanda. The second one, the title is crazy, but it's an interesting read. It shows you the contemporary culture in modern day Lagos. So it's titled Nearly All the Men in Lagos Are Mad. But it's a book of short stories. It's something you find interesting in your book club. It will keep you asking why, how is this possible? It's interesting, trust me.
Oh wow, no, thank you. Thank you for putting in the chat. I hope we all get to copy it and take advantage of these book recommendations. And thank you for answering my questions, Margaret. I really appreciate that. And I think we're going to end with Miss Thompson again. You had another question for
Yes,
Margaret?
I do. Now I have a question. Margaret, Nigerians have a lot of movies and it's on YouTube and you can connect to the movies. So I've been watching a lot of them. And all the houses have gates in front of them and they lock them. It's a gate in front of the house before you go in the house. I noticed they had a gate locked in front of my brother's ex-girlfriend. She had one. And I asked my aide, why do they have them? She said, because to keep the bad people away. And they told me it's a lot of people in Nigeria that would harm you. I don't know, it's almost like the rebels, but I don't know. So could you tell me a little bit about that?
Yeah, of course. Like I mentioned, Nigerians have found a way to take care of their things themselves. Why the government is expected to provide security, we as Nigerians, we have decided to put that extra measure or security measure in place. So yes, in most apartments, you're going to see a very tall fence with gates. Number one, it's aside just it doesn't really serve as a security measure because if the robbers want to climb the fence, they will do that. If they want to break the gates, they'll do that. But for me or for us, it serves as a way to mark our territory, sort of to mark our space or to demarcate where my property starts and ends from the other person's own. Because we are a very diverse people, we just looked for a simple way or a simple language that everybody understands. So if this hectare of land is mine, the first thing I want to do is to fence it and put a gate. That way I secure it and I tell you that this portion of land is mine. Then the other ones can be divided amongst other people. So first thing is to mark or is sort of to conserve or preserve your territory, your space, your property. Then secondly, to help all the way anybody that would want to just come into your land or into your house. Another thing to note is there are a lot of challenges in Nigeria. So most persons cannot afford security cameras, right? So if you don't fence your apartment, people could just walk in, and because security cameras are not installed, you might not have evidence to track that case, right? So first things first, we put the gates and the fence to secure our properties, one, and then to as a security measure also. I hope that helps.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Yes, it does. It helps a lot.
Thank you so much, Brenda, for your question. Really appreciate it. Yeah. So thank you all so much for your questions. We are at the end of our presentation today, but hey, we learned so much about Nigeria, and it was very interesting and engaging. And just I like, again, how we talked about the different cultures and foods and history of Nigeria. And we can't wait to hear from you more, Margaret. So do you have any last words or any last thoughts? Maybe overall, just an overall summary of Nigeria, your highlights, and then we'll end for the day. But thank you so much for presenting.
Thank you so much, Alex, for the opportunity and for having me here. So I want to say a very big thank you. I've enjoyed this presentation. I've loved how interactive it has been. And I love the fact that we all have something positive to say about Nigeria, right? So it's not just me coming to say we are good people, we are hardworking, but there are real life experiences to prove the fact that indeed we are this type of people. And I can't wait to do more of this in August when I come to work with White Tech fully for another 4 weeks. So yeah, thank you so much. This has got to be one of the highlights of my stay in the US. Thank you.
Oh, thank you so much, Margaret. Anne said that she learned a lot. Thank you, Mr. Harold. He said it was a good presentation, and thank you for coming and watching. And thank you for the kind comments. Let's all also thank Lou. Again, Lou and I was able to help Margaret come to Wild Tech with us. So when we see Lou next week, let's make sure to thank him as well for giving us the opportunity to have Margaret come and work with us again in August, as she had said. Thank you for Margaret for putting the book links and for the trivia and comments in the chat, Mr. Harold. I appreciate that. And I really liked all the questions and the participation from you all. Let's all give a big thank you to Margaret, and let's make sure to come on at 1:30 for our module on email. Thank you so much, Margaret, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.
Thank you, Margaret.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Margaret.
Margaret.
Thank you, Margaret.
Thank
This
you,
was
Margaret.
so
Very,
informative.
very
Thank
interesting.
you.
A good
Thank you.
presentation,
Yeah.
Margaret.
Stay hydrated.
Appreciate it. Have a great day, Margaret. Thank you so much. And have a great day, you all. Thank you so much for coming on. See you at 1:30.
Okie dokie.
Thank you. Thank
Bye.
you. Bye-bye.
Have
Have a wonderful weekend.
Mhm.